All right, let's dive right into today's topic, which is, does social media marketing work for dental practices? And we're going to use kind of a reverse format for this podcast episode. I'm going to serve as the MC, and I'm going to ask Naren. We have 10 questions um, that many of these were submitted by you, our listeners. But this is essentially going to allow us to unpack that question. Does social media marketing work for dental practices? Naren, let me start. I'll number these questions so we make sure we cover all of these. But we've got 10 very specific questions. And through listening through these 10 questions, you're going to be able to decide if that is a useful marketing strategy for you or not. So, Naren, question number one. This is a great one. There was a time when it was considered necessary to have social media marketing presence across a variety of social media platforms. What are your thoughts about that today?
I think that's the perfect question to start this episode, Gary. And I think it's a very good question because, like I was alluding to, a lot of times we do something we were taught last year or 5 years ago, and sometimes what we were taught 5 years ago made sense 5 years ago, but doesn't make sense anymore. So I still remember the day when Facebook first came to the wider world, and especially they opened it up for businesses. So Mark Zuckerberg was a kid back then, and he said, "Hey guys, everyone should have a Facebook page." And people said, "Why?" Well, if you have a Facebook page, let's say you have 1,000 people liking your Facebook page, a large number of them, he was not very specific, but in the early days, it was closer to 50% of them would see what you post on that page. So people said, "Oh, wow, I'm going to get free traffic. I'm going to get, free exposure. So let me put time into
I'm going to have
building
an
Facebook
audience.
pages. I'm going to have an audience, right?" And you don't have to have a webmaster. You can just log into Facebook, create a business page, start posting and start inviting people to like you. And then all of a sudden now you have an audience. And then the promise that was made by the social media company is, "I'm going to show all the information you post to all these people who have liked your page on their newsfeed." Oh, that's a good bargain. Everybody went on and started doing that. Back then, Facebook's goal was to help, convincing you to pay $10, right? Their math was, well, there are 100 million small businesses. If each business pays $10 a month, all of a sudden we are making, $10 billion. And for a company that was making nothing, that was a pretty big goal and a pretty big idea. So they got all of us, so all business owners, into the habit of having a Facebook page and posting on Facebook pages. Of course, then Facebook turned into Instagram and they bought Instagram. And that's how the world was working for a long time. And then a few years ago, you all heard of this company from China that came into the US called TikTok. They changed everything. What I mean is, literally within like 18 months, they went from 0 to 1 billion people. And they came up with a unique algorithm. And that was like they started studying human behavior. So they would show you a video. They realized people love to watch videos on their smartphones. They would show you a video and then they would see if you like the video. How do they know that? You watch the entire video. Of course, these are short videos like, 60 seconds, 45 seconds. If you watch the entire video, then they know you liked it. What do? They show you another video. Again, if you watch the entire video, they know you liked it. They show you a third video. This one, you didn't like it. You just scrolled past it. You don't like that video. So what they did is they built, AI, artificial intelligence, to kind of understand what you like and what you don't like, right? A human will have a hard time figuring this out, but AI, when it's going through billions of these data points every single day, it gets really good at finding out what you love and what you don't love. And the entire business model was very simple. If I can get you to spend as much time as possible on TikTok, I can show you ads next to, as a percentage of the amount of time that you spend on TikTok. So for example, you spend 20 minutes, maybe I can show you an ad for every minute you spend on TikTok. That means I can show you 20 ads. If each ad I make only 10 cents, I'm going to make $2 in a day from you. Multiplied by 30 days, I'm going to make $60 from you in a month. Now multiplied by 1 billion people, the numbers, they become massive, $60 billion, right? So TikTok comes along, takes the world by storm, and then of course it put Facebook and Instagram on a back foot. What does, Mark is really, really good at, taking the best and, improving on it. So I mean, he tries to get ideas from anybody and, tries to, do it better. So of course, Instagram started doing the same thing. They started taking the same concept and applying it to Instagram. And then Facebook started doing the same thing. So to answer your question, um, your question was, there was a time when it was necessary to have social media. social media started to change. So if you are an average person with a business page, you will be lucky to get 1% of the people to see what you posted. Let me repeat. You have 1,000 people, 10 people will see what you posted. The other 999 people, other 990 people will never see it. Why? Because you don't get people to spend tons of times on social media platforms. Now it's the job of influencers.
So that's really changed over time. The platform has evolved, and where at one time Mark Zuckerberg and the leadership at Facebook and later Instagram were trying to figure out where the revenue streams were.
Yeah.
They now did figure out where the revenue streams are, and in the reality, for a typical small business, which I think we can all agree, dentistry is typically perceived as a small business.
Mhm.
They're just not getting the kind of audience that really allows that social media platform to work for them. Leads me to the
Absolutely.
second question, which is actually the title of this podcast episode. Naren, I'll put you right on the spot. Does social media marketing work for dental practice owners in 2024?
Very good question. And I think that is the title of the podcast. If you look at 2024, what we are noticing is if you are an influencer, meaning if you are able to create a video that 100,000 people watch, every one of the social media platforms love you. TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, they love you. I mean, why? Because you are getting their customers to spend time on their, platform, just like the old TV thing, right? If they come up with a hit show and 50 million people watch it, they can now sell more expensive ads because 50 million people are watching it versus some other program only 5 million people watch it, right? That's why Super Bowl ads are like, millions of dollars for 30-second clip. Same thing here. So what Instagram and Facebook and all the social media company figured out is the people who made them money are the influencers. They are the ones who are kind of creating the Super Bowls, if I may, that got people to spend time on these
They're
platforms.
the
So
celebrities, if you will, of the social media platforms.
exactly, the celebrities, influencers. There are, influencer was a new term which didn't not exist before social media even came into the scene. But yeah, they are the influencer slash celebrity who are driving traffic. So if you are in that group, and typically what I find out of my 500 clients, 1%, meaning out of 500, less than five are in that group of influencers. So if you are in that 1%, you're going to get 99% of the free traffic. I'm not exaggerating. It's probably even more than 99% of the free traffic. So if you're not in that influencer camp, you would be lucky to get 1% of the free traffic.
Now, is it fair to say, Naren, that social media can have a purpose for a practice, but perhaps not necessarily where the primary goal is to attract new patients?
Absolutely. I know there are some additional questions we'll get into later on, but 100% get it. Social media can have a purpose. And what I mean by that is um, when we think about the dental buyer's journey, they start by researching. That's kind of why Google is a good place for most people. Like 90% of people start using Google to research their dental questions and dental needs. And then once they're kind of ready to purchase, they're checking out the website. No, before they're ready to purchase, they're checking out the website, see if what they see is what they like. And then they're looking at Google reviews, and then they make the phone calls. Some people who spend tons of time on Instagram, which there are a lot of people, may also go to Instagram and check out your Instagram profile. Now, it's not most people. It's, in other words, if you have crappy Google reviews and you have an Instagram page, you're not going to get them. But assuming you have great Google reviews and like hundreds of them, and you have an Instagram page, it might influence them a tiny bit. At the end of the day, we are all selfish, right? Including your dental patient. They want the best for them. They want, the right dentist for them. So they are going to research you. They're going to figure out if you are the right person who has the right skills. And that's where SEO comes in. And then finally, they're going to read the reviews. That's the final thing they're going to do before picking up the phone and calling. The reviews are not great, then they don't trust you. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, Google reviews have become synonymous with reviews. So when we talk about reviews, 95% of them just mean Google reviews. Yes, you can also get reviews on Facebook and Instagram and Facebook, but we don't typically go to Facebook to read reviews. We go to Google to read reviews.
The heavy lifting is done by Google reviews for sure.
Yes.
Well, when you answered the second question, does social media marketing work for dental practice owners in 2024? You introduced the term influencer. You said it works for influencers. Who's an influencer?
That's a great question. So influencer has a few attributes. I've been studying, these 5 clients who are influencers. They all have 100,000 people liking their Instagram page. This one, the doctor has 150,000 people on YouTube. Like they have literally minimum 10,000, but more like 100,000 plus people community on these platforms. We even have clients who are big on TikTok. So influencer is somebody who has 100,000 plus people liking them. But what I notice is it's not overnight success. Typically, they've spent multiple years, minimum 2, maybe 3, where they're putting in 15 to 20 hours a week personally, right? Remember, I can't be famous and have Gary stand in for me. If I'm going to be famous, I am the one who's going to go out there and shake hands and do whatever I need to do to become famous, right? There's no way to, you know, outsource, fame and, popularity. So Oprah can't let somebody else be the Oprah. She has to be the Oprah. Same thing with social media. The word social meaning you have to be social. So these people, number one, love others. They love creating videos. In the old days, they would communicate one-on-one, person to person. Today, they put up a video that 10,000 people want to watch and share with their friends and comment and like on, right? So they love being social. They love putting their lives out there. And the most important thing is they're super committed. It's almost like they love social media as much as they love being a dentist. So they are committed to it. Half their time goes into social media, half their time goes into dentistry. And they do this day in and day out. So like I look at some of these pages, they're posting 2 to 3 videos a day. They even think about these things. They come up with a plan because they know they have different audiences. They have the moms, they have the people who are interested in dentistry. They have dentists who are following them. So depending on the audience, they're creating tons of content. So influencers are the ones who are doing that, and they're doing it consistently. And typically for the first 2 to 3 years, they don't really see much of a bump. Maybe a few hundred people turns into a few thousand, and eventually they get into the tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands. It's almost like a hockey stick. Early days is really, really, really hard. And then once you kind of, I think partly you're figuring out the algorithms and what they're looking for, and partly just you have been there and you have enough of an audience. Anytime you put something out there, that audience is going to resonate and see it, and all of a sudden you start really, the algorithms will start driving you further. So that is an influencer. Influence somebody who's spending 15 to 20 hours a week. They love people. They see themselves as celebrities. They see themselves loving the camera, being in front of the camera, and they take it like almost like a job. I mean, every single week, 15 to 20 hours.
Can a doctor who wants to be an influencer, let's say there's a desire there, can a dentist that wants to be one become one?
100%, Gary, they can. Like if you're willing to spend the time, and it's not just do it for 3 weeks and then forget about it. If you're going to commit to it and you're going to stick with it, I'm sure we all can think of pimple popper, right? In dermatology, we can think of the dancing dentist. I'm sure many of you know him. Like we have seen those videos. I mean, they love it and they love having fun and like entertaining or adding value to people. Sometimes it's just like the dancing dentist. It's all about just having fun and like lightening the mood. Or pimple popper, it's very serious medicine, but for some reason, some people like to watch pimples being popped. Especially these crazy cases. That you don't get to see every day. So whatever that niche is, whatever that audience is looking for, as long as you can provide to them, you can become an influencer. Only thing is think about, are you willing to commit the time? Do you love it? If it's a chore, you don't enjoy it and you're doing it because you have to, it's very hard to sustain that over a 3-year period. We are putting 15 to 20 hours a week. But if you love it and this is just natural to you and you just see the value in it and you are a long-term thinker and you're willing to put your own time into it, then go do it.